Football cards, collecting and investing. Are you kidding me, Andy? We're going to talk about that optic release coming up. We got a sexy play of the week for you at the end of the video. Oh my goodness gracious. The quarterback market right now, Andy, is absolutely insane. Now, what's really interesting is I follow all these card content creators, and Andy, you can't just look at this on eBay. It is a little anecdotal, but some of these deals I am seeing right now for not Josh Allen, not Justin Herbert, not Joe Burrow, but for the middle tier quarterbacks, it's nuts right now, Andy. It is nuts. The football card market, or let's be a little bit more specific, the quarterback card market is going absolutely insane right now.
It really is, man. We're getting very close to preseason, but as we know, quarterbacks drive the football card market. So even the backup quarterbacks, the speculative guys that may not even start this year, let's look at Kenny Pickett, or let's look at Malik Willis, or even these guys that just got drafted. I was looking at a Sam Howell earlier today that went for over $100, and I was like, this guy's not even going to start in 2022 unless, something crazy happens to Carson Wentz, maybe. But that's the kind of market it is. Like, we know that quarterbacks have the potential to just absolutely skyrocket in value if they come out, and that FOMO can drive just maybe from one good performance a value increase that is exponential. And investors understand that. There's a lot of information out there in the card market, and so they're going to go ahead and put some flyers out there on some of these guys.
Yeah, so what we want you to do in the comment section, and once again, this is a football card only podcast. So most of you that watch and listen to this do cards outside of just quarterbacks. But I'm very interested in what our viewers and listeners have to say about this. Are you even looking at other positions outside of quarterback? We know our Jonathan Taylor cards. Shout out to you. He's a Jonathan Taylor guy. Obviously, he is an elite non-quarterback at running back. But, my guy Jay Jets, he is a big Justin Jefferson collector. I want to know how many of you are just quarterback guys and gals and how many of you are not. You are looking to make speculative plays as far as different positions. So get involved in the comment section. Feel free to shoot us a message on social media. Andy at FB CarQuest, me at Power Hour LSU. We want to know what you guys are doing right now. And Andy, my question for you is the same. Are you just looking at quarterbacks because the market is so hot for that position, or are you still diversifying your options?
Yeah, I'm diversifying my options. I will say I have purchased a couple quarterback cards. And, one we talked about last week, my play of the week, and Jalen Hurts. But I would say, just looking at what I'm selling right now, a lot of my portfolio, it is diversified. I do have some quarterbacks, but I don't have any of like the real high-end quarterback cards. I do have some nice, pretty high-end skill position player cards. And out of the last week, I have sold 6 cards. 5 of those were skill position guys. 1 of those was a quarterback. And even it was a mid-tier quarterback, but it's a guy that's getting a ton of hype as this is a huge make-or-break year. I think we're going to talk about him here. But the other guys were all skill position guys. It was DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Christian Kirk. And these are guys that I can get very nice cards. Chris Godwin, very nice cards of theirs for that sweet spot, in my opinion, snipe on eBay for like $10 to $20. Even a lot of cases like autograph cards. Now, it's getting more and more difficult. It's getting a lot more difficult, but there's still value to be had out there. And then, flip those guys on a hype spike.
I agree. I don't think you should just look at quarterbacks for this reason. They are also the most expensive. You're not always guaranteed to flip that quarterback. Now, if you have bought quarterbacks over the past few months, considering how hot everything is right now, you will probably get maybe a 2x, maybe a 3x before any of them actually even play a down. I'm hoping that's going to happen with a few of my plays. I've bought Kyler Murray this offseason. I bought Baker Mayfield. I bought a big Jameis as well. So I'm hoping to sell all those guys before they even, step foot on the playing field. So we're obviously very interested in what you guys have to say about this. For me, Andy, I have focused just on quarterbacks. I know that's something that you and I hate. We hate that it's so heavily, driven by quarterbacks. But I am going to try an offseason here where I just do that, right? And it's very interesting when you look at a guy like Tua, who I've spoken out against over the past, couple of weeks. Guess what? While I explicitly said, hey, sell your Tua cards now, it is not a long term play. Be careful if you buy them. If you did buy them when I said that, you can sell him now for ridiculous amounts, including the one you have on your screen right now, Andy.
Yeah, this is a 2020 National Treasures with a pretty nice looking patch there, three
Yeah.
colors with some nice stitching. But this is only a BGS 9. It even had an 8.5 on centering and then a 9 on corners, 9 on surface, 9.5 on edges, autograph graded a 10, numbered out of 99. But this card sold for $15,000 in a buy it now format on eBay just 2 days ago. So that tells you how hot the quarterback market is, especially for mid-tier guys that have that, hey, right? We go back to this, Carter, you talked about it before, and I've seen this same trend carry over with guys like Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. A lot of what drives this, man, is their college resume. They wore that Alabama helmet, whether they were a Heisman Trophy winner, national championships. They had the best coaching. They had the best, supporting cast in college. And then they get the draft pedigree in this, and they get a longer leash in the NFL, And so I look at a guy like Devontae Smith on the Eagles, and his rookie ticket autos are going for about $60. Jalen Waddles are going for about $100 now. Jamar Chase is still several hundred. But then you have guys like Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore that are very cheap. They're like in that $20 to $30 range. And the very bottom of that card would be like a Jalen Darden or a Josh Palmer that are just like Jalen Darden's like $5. Josh Palmer's like 10 to 15. It's just fascinating to me how much that even the depth chart competition doesn't take away from some of those resale values, because you can go back just a couple years and look at like clear alphas on their team, and their values are about the same.
Very interesting. For me, Andy, sell your Tuas. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna go on the same last kind of thing. Sell them, right? I think a lot of our viewers are right. They said in the comment section, "Hey, his prices are low enough for me to flip preseason," which is why I've said consistently sell him. So I was right and wrong. I'm telling you, sell him now. He's not a good quarterback. It's going to be very evident when the season starts. I don't care how good his weapons are, right? Now, if he wins a few games, the hype cycle is going to start getting rolling. But, when you think long term, you got to ask yourself this question. Is he going to be in the same discussion as Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert at the end of the year? And the bottom line is no. Same thing goes for Davis Mills. Same thing goes for Trevor Lawrence. And, I'm pretty, obviously strong about that opinion. And and I'm not just saying that because Burrow's my guy. It's just the truth. Those guys just aren't as good as those four guys. So keep that in mind as far as long-term, deciding when to sell, when to not sell. Tua is not a long-term play. I'm planting my flag and I'm not moving it. If I'm wrong, Andy, I'm wrong. However, what I want to talk about is non-eBay sales history, right? Andy, you and I don't go to a lot of shows. With our work, I'm just not able to because I work a lot of weekends and whatnot. But I want to go to more shows. I love shows, and what's interesting about shows is you don't oftentimes get to see like empirical evidence for what things sell for, what things trade for. Selling at shows. We did an episode a few weeks ago about shows in particular, and we got a lot of good advice because you were getting ready to go to the show and you weren't able to. You learn so much about cards when you go to shows. And Ryan Cards is someone that I follow. He's a very interesting guy. He doesn't just do football cards, but he is very explicit about saying quarterbacks are so hot right now. And this past weekend, there was a show in Dallas, and he said quarterbacks, everybody was buying basically every quarterback. Pretty sure he tweeted that. And, I actually agree with that. Like just looking at Davis Mills cards being listed and sold, seeing Davis Mills deals. I saw one done a few weeks ago at the show that I went to in Shreveport, Louisiana, right? I mean, Davis Mills, right? Um, it's very, very interesting. And once again, Andy, this was a guy that you've bought and sold plenty of times. We have the card ready for you to put up on the screen here. Jalen Hurts. Okay. I love me some Jalen Hurts. Eagles have a notoriously soft schedule this year. And something happened this past weekend. Okay. My favorite top five card content creator for me is Roth Cards. So Ryan Cards apparently bought this Jalen Hurts National Treasures RPA. Andy, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate how awesome this patch is?
Oh, the patch is sick. I've got to give it a 9.5.
I mean, it's as cool of a patch you'll see on any Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
cards. And really nice auto here, BGS 95 auto 10. So Ryan apparently bought this card. He was going to hold it, but Roth, I believe, bought this card off of him for a $1,000 profit. I think it was 1,300 or something like that. And that's Jalen Hurts, right? This isn't some massive, massive, massive quarterback. Now, Jalen Hurts is a really, really good player, but for me, Andy, this just further proves something that you and I have talked about. You can make a lot of money on these mid-tier quarterbacks that actually have proven a little bit, have a good roster around them, and people are kind of, buying into that.
Oh, absolutely, man, because he can gain the trust of his fan base and his coaching staff very easily. Philadelphia is such a massive market, and they're rabid for a good QB, much like that Chicago fan base is. And they have so many other good pieces around him. If he can just complete more of his deep passes and complete more of his intermediate and short passes and juke out some guys in his running game, which we know he's completely capable of. Oh my gosh, Carter, his card's going to skyrocket. I mean, the defense is solid. The offense is now the best that it's looked since 2017. So it's like they're set up to absolutely smash this year. And he's a guy that's consistently undervalued. And I think it's easy for him to get a hype. He's still very young. A lot of people will scratch his rookie season because he didn't start out of the gate. There was obviously there was a lot of different things going on there in 2020, and so that's the kind of you got to look at take the A. So like when we're talking about investing in quarterbacks, what fantasy format do you see? Basically the first two rounds are entirely quarterbacks. It's Superflex.
Yeah.
When you can start to, and especially when you're talking about Dynasty Superflex, the priority placed on quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, is very similar to what happened in the card market.
This is crazy. Man, I'm not gonna lie. If I saw this card in person, I'd want to buy it myself just because of even more so because of the card than the actual player, right? I mean, that is as beautiful of a Jalen Hurts card as you'll ever see. So I love that. I love actually seeing. So Ryan said he bought the card. He only had it for 2 hours, and Roth wanted it for 1,300 more than what that Ryan guy bought it. That just shows you how liquid football cards are. Now, this is a really, really nice card, but it's just in general, right? Like seeing a lot of deals done on Baker. I mean, you have the data, right there, Andy, as far as like graded card sales are concerned. Yeah. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. And we haven't even talked about McCorkle Jones, our guy, New England Patriots.
He's getting a lot of hype, man. Hype is turning around. It's the hype pot is bubbling up, man. The speculation he's going to be throwing the ball more. Mac Jones is beefed up. There's been pictures that have surfaced of him looking like Captain America, and I mean the belly looks like it's gone, and so we could see some serious hype for Mac this year. It's contingent on the New England Patriots winning, though. I'm still convinced on that.
The one thing I like about Mac Jones that is very interesting is like there's a narrative surrounding him that, he is a pocket quarterback, super smart, very Brady-esque. And you want to know what's funny about that, Andy, is while I don't think he'll ever be as good as Brady, they are very similar in terms of quarterback play. There was a stat by Alex Rollins. I believe he's an NFL film guy. It is amazing how well Mac stays within the structure of the play. So he is not going to whirling Derbyshire, Johnny Manziel run a gazillion miles on a play like a Lamar Jackson would or something like that, but he stays within the framework of the play. And when you do that, you're not opening yourself up to injury. You're not going to have a scramble drill, Jameis Winston or Dak kind of injury. If you stay in the pocket and get rid of the football quickly, you're going to have a long career. So I do think Mac is going to be around for a long time. It just depends on how long of a career he's going to have, especially now without McDaniel. So very interesting stuff. So yeah, please get in the comment section. Let us know quarterback versus all the other positions. Now, Andy, before we get into tip of the week, play of the week, and all that good stuff, let's talk about Optic, one of your top 5 products that you like personally, one of mine as well. Very interesting. Optic release date coming around the corner. Let's go.
Yep, 2 days. This Friday, Optic is going to be released. This is a product it'll have the rookies from 2021 draft class. It's also going to be released in retail. So it'll be interesting to see what those hit rates are like in the blasters, the megas, the hangers in retail, what type of special short print parallels they're going to have. It's very fascinating to see what that hit rate is like, because last year when Optic was released, there was a very high hit rate of the Optic Hollows. Like if you were to go now and count up the available listings and the sold transactions, the Optic Hollows versus the Prism Silvers and like the field level silvers, the Optic Hollows are going to be more common, they're more readily available. But it's still a very liquid card because people freaking love that rated rookie logo. It's very nostalgic. It's very iconic, going back to the Donruss cards in the late 80s and early 90s. And so that rated rookie logo is super liquid. Super liquid.
I love it. I absolutely love it. What's very interesting to me, Andy, is, there's still Prism autos being sold. One thing that's kind of been very interesting is I see Zach Wilson cards a lot now. Obviously, after the explosive story, and by explosive, I mean explosive story. Obviously the Cougars, man. I don't know if Cougars sound like that or not. Whatever that story actually was, and his response to it was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if that makes people want to buy Zach Wilson cards. Our guy Derek says he thinks he saw a spike in his dynasty. People, talking themselves into Zach Wilson potentially being something. Obviously, the New York market, the Jets or whatnot. It's very interesting with all these quarterbacks that haven't really proven a whole lot. With Optic coming out, man, I love it. I freaking love it, man. There's going to be some people buying Zach Wilson cards for $5,000, and I'm ready to see it. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely, man. The market fan base for the New York Jets is massive. They have the largest TV market size in the country. It's so densely populated, that region of the Northeast. And the Jets have a very big fan base, very long-standing fan base. They have a ton of social media followers. So, a lot of what happened for the first year for the Jets, it's like, second year for Robert Saleh, second year for Matt LaFleur, second year for Zach Wilson. So you got a lot of second year, and this is kind of like that proving ground still. So absolutely, Zach Wilson is going to be hyped up heading into the season. His cards are, current. I mean, like not even color matched here. He's a red wave Prism autograph card that sold for $2,200 just 3 days ago. So, that. In a PSA 10, no less. So, there's going to be a lot of hype for anything Zach Wilson autographed. It's going to come at several $100s premium, even raw.
And I think he's going to be the story at the National. I really do, because where the National is going to be located, right? Northeast part of the country, Jets, him and McCorkle, right? There's going to be a lot of people there wanting to buy their cards, cash deals in person. So if you are going to the National, I think it might be a little bit wise. I mean, it might be a little too late, but I think there's going to be a lot of people buying Zach Wilson. I wish the story came out the week of the National, just to see if there would be, just this huge spike in his cards week of. I still think there will be. I think a lot of people, this is my bold prediction about the National Football Cards. I think a lot of people are going to talk themselves into Zach Wilson. I think they will. So optic release, obviously really excited about that. People still buying a bunch of Prism, and there you go. Now, hobby tip of the week for me, Andy, it's quite simple. Um, be kind. Be kind to one another. It's kind of a general thing. Um, Always, especially if you've been in the game for a little bit. Now that I have done football cards, this show with you, I feel as if I am knowledgeable enough to know a decent amount, but also understand, don't be too arrogant about your own knowledge as well. Like, for instance, here's a good example. All right, patreon.com/football cards. You can join our private Discord where, Andy, there's people in there that are smarter than you and I. And one of those people is David Hunter. David Hunter always answers my questions. He doesn't have to, but he always does. Right. And I don't ask him a ton, but if there's something that is, above my knowledge, he's a really sharp guy. And asked him a question, ironically, about an Antonio Gates 1-of-1 card. The difference between game use, player worn, we all know that, but there's kind of a weird thing I won't get into, like top saying game worn jersey on the front, but on the back it says this is not from any specific event. What the card is, what we're thinking is saying is like, well, this is a game worn patch. We just don't know what game it's from per se. He helped explain that to me, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? And he did a bunch of research on that and was able to help me out. So, don't, if you are in the game and you don't know something, feel free to, ask me or you or join the Discord or whatnot. It helps. It really, really does help because, there's always going to be something that you don't know, and there's going to be some card OGs out there that are always willing to help you.
Absolutely, man. And we've got a great community, and absolutely love it because there's some really good guys out there. My hobby tip of the week is to start listing. I say, guys, if you haven't been active listing cards and you've sat around and you've waited like me and you have a stack of cards that need to be listed, get on it because it takes a little bit longer than you think on a per card basis. It does help when you batch, like take a bunch of photographs so you have those on your phone. If you really have several hundred, get those. Take them with your phone, transfer it to your computer, whether it's iCloud or Google Drive, and then go to eBay, create a couple templates, create a template for graded cards, create a template for raw cards, and separate it out maybe by team or position. Create a few templates, and then that'll really accelerate your process. I did a video on this, and that'll help you get your cards listed, but the market is heating up. I'm selling 5 times as many cards now on a weekly basis than I was just a few weeks ago, Carter. So I really think now is the time to get your cards listed. If you've been sitting there waiting, thinking you've got all this time, get them listed now. Capitalize on this preseason hype we're getting ready to have.
One more little extra tip here. I like the card listing. I'm too lazy. I don't list enough. I know I actually went through it. I got a KJ Hamler auto sitting right here that I've been meaning to list. It's been sitting here for 2 months, and it was a free card thrown in on a batch deal that I made. And I would sell the car, even if I sold it under comps, it would just be money. I don't care about KJ Hamler or whatnot. But if you are to crack a slab, please go watch Andy's video with the screwdriver. I mean, you went to work, man.
Yeah.
First off, the thumbnail was scary. You just holding it like Chucky or whatever. I was like scared.
Yeah, so shout out to our awesome content director, 402 Collectors, for the idea behind that video. Just have total fun, like right now, the off season. It was his idea, and we were by no means saying this is the optimal way to crack slabs. It was more like let's be challenged with one tool and all the major slabs from the major grading companies and see what happens and just have fun with it. And so that's what we did. And it got a ton of great feedback, a ton of great advice. But dude, that CSG slab, I could not get through it. I mean, you watched the video. I could not get that plastic on that CSG slab is so thick, and the way they've sealed that thing is incredible. You have to use some type of wire cutters or really strong shears of some sort to get that thing open, and a screwdriver didn't cut it. But you saw, like, if you're buying graded cards to potentially crack them, SGC, I mean, it's so easy. If you wanted to pop one of those slabs open and potentially you sell it raw or cross grade it, like, super easy. Absolutely no concern about damaging a card whatsoever.
The one thing that was interesting about the CSG slab, so I just bought a CSG slab, right? And you could kind of see it was blurred out or whatever. I'll just grab it real quick.
Yeah, see, the problem, these guys made their 3-letter acronyms so similar. So this is an SGC slab.
Oh, SGC. And I like SGC. I like their slabs. What was interesting, though, Andy, was when you cracked it, this part actually came out a lot easier than I thought. Like the actual label.
Oh, yeah. It's just sitting in a little tiny groove spot. But that black part, that little black border around the card, it just comes right out. It's just a textured piece of plastic, and it's just so easy to pop that thing with a flathead screwdriver. Just go along that little edge they made on the side. So
I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of strange. Some people would consider that a positive, right? Let's say you get it graded and you don't like the slab anymore. If I know that I could crack your slab at any moment with ease, maybe some people are like that, right? And I'm going to actually say this for the next week's episode. I found some Justin Herbert sales to be so interesting for some of his autos. I am constantly amazed, Andy, how often raw autos sell for as much as autos in a BGS 9 slab or an SGC 9 slab or whatever. Yeah, I'm still amazed by that. I really am. Like, here's why I'm really amazed by that, because for me, it's hard for me to talk myself into buying a big raw card online. It's very hard for me to do that. And the reason is because it opens you up for so much bait and switch. It really does. It is a huge leap of faith to trust that seller to send you the card that you see. And if you don't look at it closely, he could send you an off-centered copy that, you could have swore up and down that was a copy and you not even know when you get it, right? Always be careful of that. And you and I've talked about that privately. I think that happens a lot more than people would probably think.
Even with the eBay authenticity guarantee, I'm sure it's still a possibility, especially if the card's not serial numbered. That card, so that card is going to CSG to get authenticated and verified through their authenticity guarantee program. And if CSG says nope, this has been altered, it's tampered, it's fraudulent, whatever the case may be, eBay will refund your money. I love that they've done that, and I think that eBay does a pretty good job of listening to the hobby. They show up. They probably even have a table at the National. I'm sure they had a table with that big card show in Atlanta,
right?
And so I do see them listening, and that's why they start up that program. But I get it. I totally get it. So I love your point, because you could probably find SGC 8s, and what happens is when people see that's like, oh, it's an 8, that card is it's something in their brain that subconsciously even tells them that this card is not good. This card is not good enough, even as a raw card, which the raw card, like I said, a lot of the raw cards you buy off of eBay are going to have some type of little tiny blemish or ding. You just never know how the seller has been taking care of that card. You have to be very careful with some of these cards, these ultra modern cards with all the chrome finishes and the etching and all that kind of stuff. And if you get an SGC 8, they're very strict on their grading. Maybe the autograph grade's a 10, and now you know how easy it is to pop it. You can clearly make a nice profit off of doing that. And hey, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I know a lot of people are like, well, then that messes up the population report from PSA and SGC. And I totally get that. But at the same time, I mean, it's a free market.
Right. And before we get into play of the week, this is like one big thing about football cards and just cards in general, right? You know, and this translates to other sports, right? Such as like Zion's prices when he had his breakout year. I'm a big Pelicans fan, right? So, like, he had the breakout year and his card prices basically stayed the same. Like, his performance had nothing, to do with anything. It was just the lead up into Zion Williamson's, you know, season or whatnot. The big thing in sports cards is what can potentially be instead of what have you done. If you're going to buy a what have you done type of card, that player better be daggum legendary, right?
Mhm.
And I'm starting to question, how much money I'm going to spend with Drew Brees, right? Where is Drew Brees actually in the hierarchy of all-time great quarterbacks? Probably just outside the top 10, but just outside the top 10, a lot of athletes just outside the top 10 don't have legendary super hot card markets, right? It's always just like the top 1%. Where now, and I'm going to go ahead and give away my play of the week here, is stay away from Trey Lance. That's a play that I'm making right here. It's going to take a lot. I'm starting to see Trey Lance prices look as if his success is already baked in, right? Do you agree with that or do you not?
Very much agree with that. And it's cooled off a little bit over the last few weeks just because we still don't have news that he's going to start.
Right.
So we've seen him cool off a little bit, but still, he has got all that draft pedigree, multiple wins, playoff appearances already baked in. He's got top 3 quarterback performances already baked into his values.
And that's the thing, right? The card market is always about what can you potentially be. And that's the mindset of a lot of people that buy cards, right? There's very few like legends whose market will always stay hot. I think a lot of us know who that is. Obviously, Jordan and Kobe in basketball, and then LeBron as well. And then in football, it's Brady, right? Uh, and the baseball's so different, obviously, with Mantle and Honus Wagner and all that. I think that's just a completely different sport in that aspect. But I think about this stuff all the time, and I think that mindset, Andy, of what can potentially be gets into the minds of people when they buy raw cards instead of cards that are already graded that aren't PSA 10s, right? It's someone that looks at a card on eBay, like, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that card is well centered. That card, with that lighting looks to be pretty good. The auto looks pretty good." And what a buyer thinks is, well, that card could be a 10, right? Trey Lance could be the next Joe Burrow. And could be is a big thing in all of sports, right? What could the future potentially hold for not only this player, but for this card? But for me, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I could buy a graded card. Look, an SGC 9.5 of a really nice card is a really, really good card. That is half a grade off of that thing being a 10. A PSA 9 of a really good card. I saw some PSA 9 Tuas go for really, really high. Now, there were national treasures, but it's still a good card. I just would, and this kind of goes back to our last episode. If you want to see it, check it out. The Tyrann Mathieu Conundrum, where that was a really extreme example. The card I just showed on the stream right here, a really extreme example of the grade outselling the rarity of 3 different Tyrann Mathieu cards. I was happy I got the rarest one for half the price just because it wasn't a 10 on the actual card. I find, Andy, I've always found that to be so interesting and baffling to me, right? That so many people think that they can look at an eBay card and say, oh, well, that can 10. So let me buy this Herbert rookie ticket auto for $3,500 instead of just getting an SGC for like $3,200 that's graded in like a 9 slab. That's always just been so interesting to me.
Yeah, now we just made it a lot easier for you if you do find an ultra rare card in an SGC slab. Just get the
Yeah,
power tools ready if you're going CSG, guys. Even the old PSA was very easy to crack as well, but the new PSA was pretty difficult. They actually made it to where the sides are like a total lip that goes down to the bottom. But that is fascinating, Carter. I think we've got to keep an open mind, man. We got to keep an open mind when looking at those listings and understanding that the potential can be changed. You can change your destiny on a card. It doesn't have to be sealed in stone with that slab.
play of the week, Andy. You're going first.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking about the tight end market. I'm going to talk about George Kittle today because I think George Kittle is being significantly undervalued. He was a 2017 rookie that didn't get drafted until the 5th round, even though he was just a monster. He's a beast, right? I mean, 96 percentile, 40-yard dash, speed score, huge arms, 6'4", 247. You know what's crazy, Carter? He was the number 3 tight end in 2018, number 1 tight end in 2019, with over 1,300 receiving yards in 2018, over 1,000 receiving yards in 2019, and he had a rough year last year. He struggled with injuries, only played 14 games, only played 8 games in 2020. A lot of that you could blame potentially on the quarterback play of Jimmy Garoppolo, on that one injury that he suffered. So, I look for him to have a big bounce back, especially when you talk about Trey Lance starting. If he does start, he should lean on his tight end, who's absolutely explosive at yards after the catch. And one of the really good things I like about George Kittle, obviously that market size we're talking about with San Francisco drives a lot of that hype. It's massive, and they've got great coaching. They've got a great supporting cast, good defense. So they're in the thick of it every year. And George Kittle being drafted in the 5th round only has 108 different rookie cards when all other 2017 rookies have at least over 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 for first round guys. George Kittle has only got 108 different rookie cards. So the inherent scarcity just multiplies, goes up exponentially. And this is the lowest that I've seen his rookie ticket autos. There's one set that he's still printed in, rookie ticket autos. You can get them for under $200 right now. And I know you're thinking, whoa, that's a lot, but go look at what, for example, Christian McCaffrey's rookie ticket auto is going for right now, understanding the fact that Christian McCaffrey has 2,000 different rookie cards printed for him. And then you look at George Kittle and say, okay, they're under 200, and he's got, number 1 tight end in his range of outcomes, and he's sliding to the 4th round of fantasy drafts, going as like a tight end 5, 6, sometimes tight end 7. And there's just so much. I think that, he's one of those guys who's so likable off the field as well. Super, exciting, like super go get him type of attitude and likability in media. So, I think George Kittle's got a lot of reasons going for his investment value that makes him a good play.
I like it, especially, I don't know how much we're going to put this in the outtakes. George Kittle was a part of my dynasty draft, my first ever dynasty draft. Look at that rookie ticket auto. Are you kidding me? I like that. Yeah. I agree. I think at some point the 49ers are going to be, a Super Bowl contender. I'm not a huge. I think Trey Lance could be good enough. The good thing about Kyle Shanahan is that, we've seen him make these Super Bowl runs with Jimmy G, and no one's mistaken Jimmy G for a top 10 quarterback. I think he is still really good. Jimmy G cards just have never gotten hot. I've always found that to be really crazy, considering he's won a lot. He's super handsome. He's dated some very interesting people. I'll put it at that. But yeah, I'm down with the George Kittle play. I thought you were actually going to pick a quarterback. These last couple of weeks, I've picked a quarterback. This week, I'm actually going to switch it up here. And I actually had a quarterback in mind. I'm actually going to save it for the next episode. A name really struck a chord with me a little bit earlier in the stream, Andy, and you said his name. And this guy is one of my favorite wide receivers I have ever watched at the SEC level. Okay. So, Andy, do you remember this Devonta Smith guy? Remember him?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Former Heisman Trophy winner.
So he's from Louisiana, okay? And he chose Alabama over LSU. And in his true freshman season, he caught the game-winning national championship touchdown pass from Tua, right? And ended up being, I mean, he's arguably the best college football receiver of all time. You know, you factor in him staying the full 4 years, having that big moment, and then winning the Heisman. It was just crazy. I'm actually not going to talk about Devonta Smith in that draft class. I'm not going to even talk about Jalen Waddle in that same draft class. I want to bring up a guy by the name of Kadarius Toney. Now, New York market, okay? It has been a very rough go at it with Kadarius Toney. Very rough to start, right? You know, we can get into all the ins and outs about, you know, the training camps and all that at the start of his career. The truth, though, is there are a lot of people that are way smarter, such as the Jay Larkeys of the world, Josh Larkey, who like him a lot in fantasy. And you bring in Brian Dable, you bring in the New York market. Kenny Golladay, how good is Kenny Golladay? I don't know.
Gets injured a lot.
Gets injured a lot. All right. And you mentioned earlier, Jalen Waddle. Is he even the best receiver on his team anymore? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Devonta Smith. Is he the best receiver on his team anymore? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Probably not. A.J. Brown's a really good football player. My guy, Jamar Chase, he is the best receiver. I would take him over T. Higgins, but T. Higgins is really, really, really good, right? And there's going to be a few weeks where T. Higgins, a guy that you made a lot of money on his cards, is going to be the true alpha of the offense. He's just that good, right? The Giants don't have a whole lot of weapons, right? Saquon, we'll see what happens. I've been told 1,000 times this is a year that he's going to come back to fantasy relevance. I don't know if I could trust it. I don't know if I could trust any of the other New York weapons. But if Kadarius Toney is good, he can be, even though he's kind of a gadget guy, he could be a big-time offensive alpha. Something else about Kadarius Toney as well is there is something about the way he plays the game that is very enticing. He's not the most affable personality. He's not, you know, he's not going to be Justin Jefferson as far as the star quality is concerned. Not many people have the personality of a Justin Jefferson. Still, the way Kadarius Toney plays the game is very exciting. With the football in his hands, he will leave your ankles in shambles. Think of a football version of Allen Iverson, right? He may not be the quality of Allen Iverson, but his highlights are going to be ridiculous. So you're telling me I could get a Kadarius Toney rookie ticket auto right now for less than $20? Are you kidding me? Right? Are you kidding me? Like I could be speculative here with that. And look, if you're a star receiver in New York, guess what happened to that Odell Beckham Jr. guy? Now, once again, Odell's a big personality, right? Odell doing what he did in New York, a market that was starred for a non-Eli Manning football star. You saw what that did for him and his superstardom. If Kadarius Toney just has a few weeks where he's really the guy, he's going to spike because the way he plays the games, go watch his college highlights, are unfreaking real. Like how good he is with the football in his hands. It may not work. NFL size matters. You know, normally the best receivers are traditional wide receivers, right? You're guys that win on the outside. And if you win in the slot, you got to be, you know, an elite route runner. Kadarius Toney is a good route runner or decent. I mean, he's not Renfro or Jefferson level, but when he gets the football in his hands, watch the freak out. So Kadarius Toney's my play of the week. I kind of want to go buy one of his cards now.
For these prices, I would, because we're talking current valuations around that, like between Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore type level. And like you said, man, this guy in the open field is absolutely electric. In fact, week 5 last year against the Dallas Cowboys, he made Trayvon Diggs look like a joke out there, burned him for 189 receiving yards, finished as the number 5 wide receiver that week with 30 fantasy points. And dude, I mean, this guy is, like you said, absolutely electric in the open field.
I absolutely love it. Well, Andy, this was a fun week of the show. outtakes are going to be very interesting. I don't know how you're actually going to edit these outtakes, but it should be a lot of fun. So please comment down below. Obviously, we gave you 2 plays of the week here of non-QBs. Let me know. Let Andy know what you guys think. Are you just quarterback heavy now because the quarterback market? To me, I mean, I've been in football cards 3 years. It's amazing, right? And I think part of why I find it so amazing is I don't believe in any of the rookie quarterbacks not named Justin Fields. I know it's a little of a weird, opinion. I might be on an island on that one, but there you go. So, yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Great episode, Carter. Peace.
Hey, don't end it. Don't end it just yet. I sent you a text. Let me see. Let me see if I'm going to send it again. Let me know if
I got it.
Okay. So before you end this live, we might keep this in, we might not. If you can't put this up on the screen, I want to chat with you about this really quickly.
All right. Here. Let's show which image? Both of them?
Or I think they're the same one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I found very interesting about this, and I know this was June. Okay, I know this was June. So yeah, obviously, if I ever become a successful enough YouTuber, and me personally, well, Andy, my funds aren't where they used to be as far as making speculative kind of plays, whatever. So life happens. I want to travel more. I'm not getting ready to get thrown out on the streets or anything, but so obviously that top one is optic or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I guess, yeah. And so just to be clear, optic rookie ticket autos just don't sell as much as regular rookie ticket autos. Is that true?
In a lot of cases, yes.
That gap is very fascinating to me.
But then other times you see it doesn't. These optic base. So this one was advertised as a silver, but you can look by the picture, it's not. And those base optic contenders rookie ticket autos typically have these little surface issues.
Okay. But what's really interesting were these 3 images at the bottom right here. So scroll down just a little bit here. Here we go. That is so fascinating to me that, this is a really good card. Is that a 10? Okay, 10 auto, 9 grade on the card. Okay. Then the raw version of the card sells for the near identical amount. That's crazy to me, man. It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me. That is so wild. I don't think I'll ever get over that. Look at that. That's a scan of the card.
Yeah, you're right.
Look at that. It's the same exact amount. Obviously, a few days apart from each other. But, man, I don't know about that, Andy. I would just be, as a buyer of a raw copy, I mean, there's just so much. If I'm buying the raw copy of those 2 cards right there, if I got it, I would be so nervous that the bait and switch happened if it's not numbered or anything like that. Or I know you're not able to click and look at the images close up yourself, but man, dude, that is just so, Andy, I'm just blown away by that. I really am. That a card in a slab by a reputable company, SGC, I know it's not PSA or whatever, the same amount, almost down to the dollar.
Yeah, no, this one got a 9 on the grade, 10 on the auto. Okay, well, I mean, that's what it is, man. Subconsciously, as the buyer, you lose the potential to get a 10 when you see that already in a 9 slab. So, yeah, I see most 9s sell for the same as raw, especially in high-end cards like this. Now, I think ultimately this person with the optic got the best deal. Uh, I mean, that type of price discrepancy is ridiculous. So I want to look at this and see when the auction ended, what kind of feedback the seller had, if there was any blemishes we can see on the surface on this that were noticeable, because
Yeah.
I sometimes see the contenders base go a little bit lower than the optic base, go a little bit lower than the contenders base, but not that much lower, Carter. I mean, not $1,800 lower. That's insane.
I'll look at these eBay sold items. You know me, Andy. I'll look at them for hours. Like, number one is the people buying these cards. A lot of them have speculative money to spend on cards like that, and a lot of them are card shop owners. You know, they know that Herbert's always going to be liquid, whatever. But man, dude, the fact that there was just such a huge discrepancy, and this was all the way back in June, so this wasn't even July.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it.
Man, I guess keep scrolling. It's all the 16.
Well, there's one that went for 27.
Oh man, well
There it is.
there you go. Okay, so here you go. That person that got that person that got this card got a steal.
Yeah, they did.
40,
they absolutely did.
Well, 44 feedback on a card that high.
That is not. Yeah, that's definitely a contributing factor. We've got a new seller here. He ended his auction at 6:30 on a Friday, which is not great. It's not great, but yeah, you do have a very. Oh yeah, look at the feedback on the seller. Only 94% on that number. That's what scared a lot of people off.
It's amazing how many factors go into that.
And I don't blame him. I mean, whoever got this for 1,800 took a significant risk with this guy. Oh, and yeah, look at the autograph now. You can see that this autograph would never grade a 10. There's some type of streaks and smudges through that autograph. So if that is visible, then the chances of this card having some other type of issue are very likely here. I would say this almost looks like a screenshot taken from, because look, the back of this card, the front picture, you can see there's some type of black textured material behind the card that he's got it laying on. And then in this one, the back of it, you see these stacks of, looks like slabs.
From that big seller.
Yeah, DC Sports Card 87. So it looks like they may be a piece, some screenshots together here. This also says Prism on the back bottom right corner, meaning that it is a silver Prism. This is not a silver. This does not look like a silver Prism.
We just uncovered fraud here.
Potentially, yeah.
No, it definitely is. That is not number one. That's not a silver, right? Even if it's just a screenshot. I knew something was up. I wanted to send you that image a few weeks back. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a clear case of fraud right there.
Yeah, this looks like the same.
The same thing. The same thing.
Wait a minute. Yeah. This looks like the same background. Look at that background. And there's the same background. Looks like maybe that other seller.
What? Click the back of this card again. Click the back of this card.
Yeah, no prism.
No prism.
Yeah, that's because it's the same picture of the front. Look at this. Look at the smudging through the autograph right there. The lines. And now we go back to the other one. And look at that. That's the card. He took that image from that guy's page and then took this back image from DC Sports Card 87 page. Wow.
Oh my God, dude.
So that's why this guy has what's his 3 negative in the last month. Avoid. Card
shipped.
never shipped. No communication. Card was not delivered.
Mike
So
Trout. Look at all these high-end guys that they Pokemon
yeah,
Charizard
560, 900, 1900.
fraud.
Yes.
I knew it when I looked at it. I was like, okay, I want to send this.
Yeah.
The discrepancies here are crazy.
This is what's
Authenticity.
good, though. I mean, at least they had the authenticity guarantee, but I'm surprised that they're not. This guy's not
I'm
banned.
interested. I'm interested if this deal actually went through.
It doesn't make sense why this guy's not banned. You know, but
That is
apparently,
crazy.
yeah, he's still on here. Yeah. It's just this is wild because that authenticity guarantee would have definitely saved the buyer in this case. They would have got a refund, but
Well, it just depends on what exactly he sent, though. Like, and it still could go through. Like, I mean, do you know how many like raw cards these eBay people probably get? Uh, that's nut, dude. That's so nuts to me. That is so freaking nuts to me. That is cool. I knew something wasn't that up. I knew it, and it still went for $1,800.
mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, you definitely uncovered a fraudulent seller there. Avord Daween 19, Dawein 19 on eBay.
Especially if you see someone with. It's one thing if it's like Burbank Sports Cards selling Mike Trouts, Charizards. Ooh, that's
He doesn't
very.
even have anything else listed right now. I would imagine that his account's frozen. Maybe they're working on banning him.
Or something else here. Okay, something else that's very important with this, Andy, is it goes back to what we were talking about in the episode, right? Buying raw cards on a website. I can't do it for a certain high amount unless I know for sure the seller has near gazillion feedback and the card is super rare and I absolutely positively have got to have it. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. I can't believe you and I just did that together.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
We have no idea. I'm interested to see you. I don't know. I don't know what to do about this information. I'm interested to see if the card actually went through. I'm interested what card they actually sent to the eBay authenticity guarantee. Also, if there is an authenticity thing happening, and let's just say eBay figures out it's fraudulent, I would hope eBay would wipe that sales data out. Because the one thing that this does is if I am holding any raw Justin Herberts, that hurts me. Like whenever this happens, that would hurt me because if I went to a show and this, let's see, June 17th. Okay. What was June 17th? Okay.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine if you went to a card show on the 18th and the comps for that card were well over 2K consistently. Well, if I'm just sitting at a card show or if I'm buying a card, I'd be like, oh, well, look, this one just sold for $1,800. I know eBay's not beholden to what things are not sold or whatnot. But if I'm holding a Justin Herbert, that fraud right there, or if this was fraud or whatever actually happened here, that hurts me. That hurts me that's actually doing things ethically right because that decreases that decreases the value on that card because a buyer would be like, hey, look, this one just sold for $1,800. So always be careful when you're checking for comps on raw cards as well.
Yeah, that could have been very well the case here. This guy created this eBay account just it's definitely fraud, right? It definitely fraud. He took screenshots from multiple different sellers and did an auction, and maybe he did this to get this other card here at a discount, or maybe he was going to a card show that next day and wanted to use this as a comp. That is super unethical, super shady. But yeah, man, Cards are all about the details.
Or this card, or what could have happened is this card sale went through and this next person just put it back up for sale. Because
this ended the very next day.
Oh, it ended the very next day?
And this is the actual front picture of the card that ended the day before for $1,800.
How do people not see that?
And this is a reputable seller. I mean, this Wilder's side of sports cards is 100% positive feedback from over 1,300 transactions. So this is a reputable seller.
Man,
so
there's two sides to this, right? There's the seller obviously doing this, but as a buyer, I mean, if you're spending anything over $100, right? I mean, obviously, Andy, you look at everything, even if you're spending $20 on a card, but especially if you're spending more than $1,000 on a card, $1,800 with all the shipping tax and all that, that's well over $2,000 that you're spending on a raw card, Andy, raw, as in there's no way to 1,000 gazillion% guarantee that card is the card that you're getting. And, there's fake slabs out there as well. And that's not my point. It's, man, that just blows my mind. Like, at least if I'm buying the SGC in that slab, that is hard to do any kind of fraud to.
What if I gave you $100,000 check and said, this is your budget to buy sports cards, Carter? Would you do it? Would you do it then?
What?
So I gave you $100,000 check and I said, you can't use this for anything but sports cards. And would you take the risk and gamble the money knowing that you had another $90-something thousand left in that bankroll, that bank account to spend on sports cards, that small portion, would you do it then?
I'll buy raw cards for higher amounts? Yeah, because then I would have I could have the risk of sending off the PSA and getting a 10 and pay some of that other $100K for like grading fees and stuff. And I know a lot of people do have that money and that goes into it. But I would say a good 50% of people that are in sports cards don't have the time, patience to do all of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, if that Herbert does end up gymming, guess what? You're still you still got to pay the extra for if that card actually gyms as well. Got to factor that in. And then, getting the card back and actually making money on it. It's tough, man. I think if you gave me $100,000, I'm buying a really rare LeBron card just because, it's just a perfect player to actually buy because, he's still got a lot of basketball left and he is as legendary as it can get. And then obviously, I'm buying a bunch of Burrows and Brady's and whatnot. But man, very interesting stuff. I know. I'm sorry. That's why I was like, don't end this recording just yet. I wanted to talk about that, and I wasn't even talking. My point was, I even if I'm not the biggest fan of SGC, I like SGC, but even if I'm not, I'm buying that card right there, and cracking and subbing, right? Unless I have the sharpest eye in the world. And those other cards just look super sharp. But then again, one of the photos is a guy holding a card in a one-touch like this with his den in the background. Like, hey, look, spend the same amount of a card that's scanned in an actual. It's just crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. But there's so much fraud in the raw card market, man. So much. And for me, I am an in-person buyer. Like when it comes to bigger purchases. And I actually made a lot of mistakes. I made a mistake in a Baker Mayfield purchase I made recently because the card was sealed, but it was still damaged inside the Panini seal. I still think I'll sell it for a decent amount because of the deal I got. But I know what to look at now that I got, that show under my belt. Like raw card purchases are where it's at. Like these shows is where it's at. I'm just never buying an eBay card raw. I'm just not. I just can't do it. I just can't do it because of what just happened. That's just nuts to me. But yeah, sorry for keeping you longer. I just wanted to include that. That's good. That was your sharp eye though that saw it.
It's all about the details, man. It's all about the details. I do it even on the $5, $10 cards just because I find it also interesting, and I appreciate the details, man. I love the details.
Let me look at this one more time. I'm kind of curious. 28 bids, dude. 28 bids on the 1800 card. 28 bids. So let's say it's at least 6 different bidders. It's crazy to me that many people. It goes to show that people don't look.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some people that don't look.
They don't look. They just don't look. Look up every last detail on a card. Every last detail. Send it to friends. Have them look at every last detail. I was talking to David Hunter. He helped me a lot with this Drew Brees purchase, and he looked at his card. I sent it to my guy Chris Reinders as well. Those guys know more about cards than anyone, and they're actually in it for the cards, right? They're not major flippers or anything like that. The actual cards is what they love, and they just pick up every last little detail on a card. And you can look at a card 100 times, and you still won't see every last little thing. So, like,
it's interesting, Carter. The guy who won that card at 1800 is a monster eBay user. He's got 5,156 transaction, 100% positive. He's bid on 400 items in the last 30 days. So he was basically he's probably got a big bankroll, and he was like, well, authenticity guarantee 1800, I'll get my money back, worst case scenario. But if it is authentic and I do get the actual card, 1800 is a massive steal, and I can make a bunch of money and quit, a couple grand.
So like with this Drew Brees card right here, even if you look at it super close, when I got it, I still didn't see, and this is a sealed 1-of-1 like buyback card. There's still like little scuffs inside the actual card right here that's sealed, right? Now the price I got this with the game worn jersey, first year Saints game worn jersey, on card auto with the written 1-of-1 on it. This was my first big Brees purchase, whatever. It was $300 total, right? So not an insurmountable amount of money, but if I did, see this card in person at a show, I probably wouldn't have got it because I would have seen this weird little scuff inside the card. I don't even know if it's on the card. It could be on the one touch, but I wanted a Breeze game worn jersey on card auto card, and I almost bought, a more expensive variation of this card. But you could look at it a gazillion times and you still won't it still won't pick up on eBay, right? I had a few people, including yourself, look at that, and it, you didn't see it. I didn't see it. I'm still happy with the card because this card's probably gonna stay in my PC a long time. But when you buy, and this is kind of a raw-ish card because it's Panini sealed, whatever, you just don't know. Like, even if you're buying a card on eBay, there's scratches on the slabs whenever you get them. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see them until they actually, get there. So it's crazy. All right, big dog. What up, man?
What's up, man? Look at you. You got your camera fired up already today. You ready to rock and roll?
Okay, so we're about to do. I just sent the invite link. We got someone else jumping on the show right now. It's actually one of both of our big time supporters. One of my big time supporters for Power Hour LSU, and one of your personal favorite. So he should be. I have no idea. I just sent him the invite link, and he should be jumping on right here. And
Very cool.
Okay, so
how did you send him the invite link?
Because
Oh, you just forwarded the one I sent you.
yeah,
I
you
got
just
you.
forwarded the one that you sent me. And,
Okay.
And
this is exciting, man.
Yeah, so it's something that I've never done this before. I've honestly never done one of these before. I've never done a dynasty draft, and he and I have been doing a dynasty draft together, and I was in the 1.1.
Oh, our man Derek Richard.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a goat.
Put him in. Put him up. Can you put him up? Can you see him?
He's not down there yet. He's got to pop up.
Okay, he's got to pop up. So I hope this works. So so we're on the clock now. So we've been doing these double picks. So I was in the 1.1, and it's a 12-team league. It's a different kind of like Superflex league where you only have to play one running back. So our theory for this draft has been we are not selecting any running backs at all, really. Like, we had the opportunity to take ETN. We debated it, and we said no. We had the opportunity to take Josh Jacobs. We said no. And so far, our draft has been the 1.1 Josh Allen. And then on the turn, what's up, Derek?
What's up, man?
How we doing, man? Oh, wait, why do you jump? Why do you? I think he's afraid.
Device is not connected.
Well, we'll see what we can do. But I was in the 1.1, and it's one of these slow drafts. I love a good slow draft. I do. So
he's back.
What's up, I don't know how to make the video work. I clicked on it and I disappeared.
No, it's all good. So, Derek, you've been doing dynasty drafts for how long?
2013 was my first dynasty.
Okay. And so far, our dynasty league has been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And our team has been just dope. Just this is the greatest dynasty team ever put together, okay?
So you guys are going 0 RB, but because you only have to start 1 RB on a weekly basis?
At a minimum, yeah. 1 running back, 1 receiver, 2 flex, 1 tight end, 1 super flex, and obviously 1 back. So it's a minimum amount of skilled position players. So it's kind of just load up on the high profile top end receivers, and then we could just kind of hammer running backs at the end. Madison, James Cook, all those kind of injury away type guys. And, we're far enough away from the season. We'll get somebody injured. We'll get a few games here and there, eventually find ourselves a nice starter.
So Carter, Derek is known for his fantasy football team names. I'm not sure if you've heard any of his other dynasty team names, but they're legendary. So I'm curious, what is the name of y'all's team?
I just defaulted it to PHL Dynasty, but at the way things are going in the draft so far, we may have to change the team name. A lot of shit talking going on, and I enjoy naming my team after the person who talks the most amount of shit. So we'll come up with something creative.
So now we're on the clock, and our roster right now was and this might be completely boring to everybody for like football card stuff, but our draft so far, Andy, has been in the 1.1 we took Josh Allen. In the 2.12 we went Deshaun Watson, T. Higgins. Remember, Superflex, you only got to play 1 RB. And then in the next round, we went, obviously, on the turn, we went DJ Moore, George Kittle. And then in the last round, guess what? I'm going all in. I've been high on this guy for forever. Traylon Burks and George Kittle.
Nice.
Traylon Burks and TJ Hawkinson.
Traylon Burks and TJ Hawkinson.
Is there a tight end premium?
No, it's start 1 tight end, but where it's so shallow of a starting roster, it's pretty important to have a top end tight end. You want to try and get somebody that's got a lot of upside and Kittle's injury prone as far as tight ends go, so wasn't a bad idea to back him up with Hawkinson. Plus, it gives us some flexibility to trade one of them later on.
Yeah,
Andy, how many dynasty drafts have you done, Andy?
2.
Okay, and how would you rate our draft up to this point?
Well, it's an interesting format, but so far, I mean, I like it. I mean, obviously, you got the best quarterback on the board. That value on Deshaun Watson could pay off big time, especially if he's only going to get like a 4 to 6 game suspension. And then I like the tight end picks. I mean, and if Treylon Burks pans out the way you think he does, Carter, then I mean that's another home run there in terms of his age and his dynasty value.
So,
and love T. Higgins.
So, Andy, can I send you a link and we could potentially share screen?
Absolutely.
Wait, let me see. I'm going to send a share to you. Let me know if you could see that, Andy.
You drop it in the private chat or my email or
no, I just hit share in this little bottom thing.
Oh. There we go.
There we go. Derek, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so dude, I kind of want to What do you think of Derek?
Let me see here.
I kind of want to get sexy here. I kind of do want to get a little sexy. I love Ramondre Stevenson. I just do, man. I think he's got legit RB1 potential.
We'll be able to get him later on. You don't have to go and take him now.
Yeah.
You still have guys like Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Alexander Madison, James Cook.
Are you guys planning to go RB here or
no?
I don't really see a need to. The only, I mean, Damian Harris, Alexander Madison are about the only 2 guys I would even consider taking at this spot. And you could probably get Madison in 2 more rounds.
Exactly. And that's and what's funny, Andy, is what's been a big advantage for us is like everybody has selected a lot of RBs. Like there's a lot of people that have picked like multiple RBs in this draft up to this point. So we're using that to our advantage because the likelihood that they're going to draft RBs right now is very little. So,
is Chris Olave still out there?
He was taken.
Oh, I was going to say that'd be a nice spot for him.
Well,
receivers that I like that are here, Juju.
Yeah, I like Juju. Gabe, you going to skip over Gabe Davis?
I was just going to say my good friend Gabe Davis.
But that's a stack opportunity though.
Only with Josh Allen. And yeah, I think he's just going a little bit higher than he should, but I don't think he'll make it back to us. And quarterbacks might not be a bad idea to grab a third quarterback because I really only see Winston, Goff, Davis Mills.
We definitely need to grab a QB, especially with Deshaun being on our team. So
those will be the only 3 guys that I see left that are. I mean, Baker might not be a bad pick later on. I like his Week 1 matchup against Cleveland, and I mean, he's going to have enough time in that offense. It's not like he got traded mid-August, so he's got a little bit of time to get acclimated. He's a little better than Sam Darnold. That's not saying much, but so he'll at least get 6 starts, I would think, out the gate, and cover for Watson. I mean, Watson's out for the year. It's going to be a struggle, but we could always throw something together.
So Andy, fun fact about this fantasy league that we're joining, the software that you see on the screen was created by Bill Gates, and they've not changed it. Like when Microsoft was created.
It is a dinosaur.
I mean, this is it. It's crazy, man. Like I had to get this software fired up. You didn't hear it in the background. I already had it pulled up. You know the AOL dial-up tone that was needed to get this thing going. So
Yeah, if a customer calls, I might get cut off. So
Okay, well,
no, I'm just kidding.
ain't nothing better than that AOL dial-up, man. Next thing you know, there's going to be some like some some mail order bride sending me a chat. A-S-L. The real ones know exactly what I'm talking about. Only the real ones. Only if you are 40 and up, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was pre-Tinder, pre all of that, man. You
Yes,
had to send those dreaded letters. Oh man. So Andy, which QB are you loving right here?
Hey man, well, I know you were a Baker advocate circa 2018, Carter, 2017, back in his Oklahoma days. So I mean that's not a bad pick, but you also got Jameis here, and Jameis. I mean, you got a few good options here.
I think Jameis, Goff, Mills would get selected by the time we come back up at the next turn. I think Baker and those guys will fall.
You know, Daniel Jones is so interesting to me, right?
Mhm.
You get a weird rushing upside with him. Like he's not even that good of a runner per se, but if you give him a straight line, dude, he runs like Forrest Gump, man.
What's the penalty for fumbles in this league?
I think it's -1.
Okay.
No penalty for tripping.
So Andy, which QB do you like the most?
I mean, honestly, I think you gotta. I'd go with Winston here. I'm gonna go with Winston.
What do you because right here, Derek, we're not even looking for long-term value. We're looking for plug and play right here, correct?
Yeah, year would be nice. Possibly get some more out of Winston. He's still young. He does a decent. He plays like he did last season until he got injured. I don't see why they wouldn't have him stick around. I don't think that's a bad play.
What was Carson? What was and this is kind of goes along with the football card hobby stuff as well. What's Carson Wentz's deal with Washington here?
His contract?
Yeah.
Oh well, let's see. You know, I know they picked up his contract. It's a 4-year deal. Let's see. So he's currently still on the same I think they just picked up his old contract from the Colts, which is now picked up from Washington. So yeah, he signed with Washington through 2024 with a potential out after this year. They would just they actually wouldn't even eat any dead cap. So they've got an out after this year.
What's Winston's contract?
Let's see.
And while you look that up, Andy, here's something I like a lot about Carson Wentz as far as like a football card play is, man, he can really post some amazing clips. Like for me, as far as like Jameis Winston is concerned, they like if you were thinking about like making a play between the two of them as far as like a football card, Jameis Winston is not going to wow you with anything, right? I know I've bought in some of his cards and stuff like that, but he's more of a pocket guy, especially after the injury he suffered last year. You're not going to see many whirling Derbyshire type of plays. Carson Wentz, yes, he might suck this next year, but he's going to give you some Sports Center top 10 kind of stuff. Like his and one mixtape of his craziest throws is absolutely insane from his time with the Eagles. So if he just has a few good weeks, I could see a spike in his football cards. I could see some people believing in Wentz mania.
They're gonna have to win though. The Commanders are gonna have to win, and because people know Wentz is like a roller coaster. He has those highs, but then he also has really low lows.
Do you think they're any good?
Man,
I mean,
that's tough.
okay, so you know defensive line's elite. We'll see what Jahan Dotson does this year, but their wide receivers are okay. Terry and those guys, they have a good running back room. I don't know a whole lot about their offensive line. But defensively, they're going to be put together with Ron Rivera and healthy Chase Young there. I'm very interested in them this next year. What do you think, Derek, about Wentz?
I mean, he's a little bit better than people give him credit for. I think part of it is just due to injuries, but I mean, he is on Washington. It's like Zach Wilson's a Jet, and he's on Washington. It's just a bad franchise. They have been for a while, and they probably will be for a while too. It just nothing goes right there. And once Young's contract's up, I'm sure he's going to take off. I'm surprised McLaurin signed there. I don't know, just kind of a garbage franchise. It's a garbage franchise, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you also have, for me, I'm avoiding Wentz in this draft, and avoiding any play on his football cards. I just honestly think people see Jameis as a more likable, funny, affable personality as well. So that's why I'm kind of buying Jameis. The Saints are always going to be one of these. And I know I'm a Saints fan. I'm wearing a Drew Brees shirt right now, but the Saints are always going to be like a lovable franchise as well. So I think people really want to see Jameis Winston succeed. So I guess we draft Jameis here because we know for sure he's going to be the QB1. We know for sure he's going to have a long leash. So I guess that's the play right here, Derek. What do you think?
It works for me, buddy.
What's interesting about Wentz's contract is they've got a 17th game bonus of $1.2 million on his 2022 contract with the Commanders if he actually plays all 17 games.
That means they'll be sitting him for the last 2 weeks of the season. So
exactly. I kind of hope they go. I kind of hope they go on like 13-1, and they already have like buys set up. And I want to see if like Carson Wentz is gonna be like, hell no, you're not resting me. Huh?
Refresh your page.
Oh, we got refresh. Okay, good. So good. Jameis has been selected. Good. All right. So we went with Jameis Winston. I can't believe we just drafted him in this league.
His contract is good through 2023.
Okay, good.
But
the only other quarterback we really need to take is Gardner Minshew in a couple rounds. Other than that, I don't really see much other reason to grab a quarterback. Like I said, we can just kind of grab ourselves a receiver here and then just hammer running backs for the next 6-7 rounds.
Yeah, and what I'll do here, Andy, is show you this really quickly, and I promise you we're going to record this football card show. I know this is like just completely random here, Andy.
It's fun, though, man.
This is our team in the let me pull it up.
The very bottom.
Very bottom right here. So far, Andy, what do you like in here? Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, Burks, Higgins, Moore, Hawkinson, Kittle. Do you like it or do you love it?
So far, I love it. I get on board with I love the quarterbacks, especially when Deshaun Watson gets back to form, and the wide receivers, love every single one of those guys, and the tight ends, massive upside with Kittle and Hawkinson. And as long as they're both healthy, you're going to be in a really good spot.
All right, so I guess we're drafting a receiver here.
And that was a very smart move, not scrolling down to see the league chat.
Yeah, of course. Wait, okay. All right, so here we are, wide receiver. Okay. And I guess the best move here would be, I don't know how important stacking is in Dynasty, but I see Chase Claypool down here. I find him to be very interesting. But I'm a little. What do you think about him, Derek? Are you out?
Not this early.
Not this early. Okay.
Wouldn't have a problem with him later on, but if you take a receiver here, there isn't a need to pick another receiver for the rest of the draft.
Right. Okay.
Sort it by ADP, so it's a little bit more accurate as far as the awful ADP. It's not very good, but
So we're still fading RB here, and we're gonna get a wide receiver.
Grab
Okay.
yourself whoever you
Yeah.
want, a running back or a receiver. If you grab a receiver here, now you got 4 of them. You start 3. You really need 4. Other than that, it can just be pick running backs and hope you hit on half of them and you're good to go, and then flush the rest out when the rookies come in, or try and trade the rest of them.
All right, Derek. I know, like on your board, you're gonna be higher on Juju Smith-Schuster than Gabriel Davis, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're completely out on Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Andy? It seems too obvious
Yeah.
to draft Michael Thomas here.
I've got Juju and Gabe Davis neck and neck in my rankings. I think that because this is a dynasty, I think those are your best options. Michael Thomas is what? He's approaching age 30. Adam Thielen's over 30. Cooks is about to be 30. Hopkins is 30. So I'm really looking right here at Gabe. I don't see how you get off of Gabe Davis when you got Josh Allen. That's only my thing. Like I would probably go Juju because I think they're going to pass the ball even more in Kansas City, and he could easily get back to that rookie form where he's like, 1,500-yard slot monster. But I think Gabriel Davis here with Josh Allen just makes too much sense.
All right, so Derek, I think we're down to Juju Smith-Schuster and Gabriel Davis.
So go for the whoever you like out of the 2. And
See, I don't know. I don't know. I would. I'm not a huge Juju Smith-Schuster fan. He just kind of looked like, even with Noodle Arm Ben, he just kind of looked like a dude these last couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean, and Gabriel Davis, I mean, yes, that was just one game.
Mr. 35 receptions, 549 yards, 35 receptions, 599 yards. I get it.
They had the same exact numbers last year?
No, that was his 2020 and 2021 numbers.
But you're just out on him, right, Derek?
I've always just been out on any 4th round wide receiver. Doesn't really make a difference who it is.
Yeah, it's his ADP that he's out on. And because Gabe Davis is also, you could say he's very touchdown dependent, but at the same time, like Josh Allen loves to look for him.
Oh,
in the red
absolutely.
zone.
If anything happens to Diggs, I mean, it's a home run. Don't get me wrong.
Home run. And Gabe Davis just has such good spatial awareness, being aware where his feet are in conjunction with the out of bounds markers, and very good hands. So honestly, I think he went underdrafted. I think that he's just, Stephon Diggs is still the alpha there, but I think they've got so much upside in that offense. And you've got Josh Allen, and Gabriel Davis is only like 24 years old. So I don't see how you get off of that. But
and technically the email address that's associated with the account is linked to Gabe Davis. So
it's a brand pick, Carter. You guys got to go Gabe Davis. Got to.
All right, so we're taking Gabriel Davis over Juju Smith-Schuster.
Do it.
So let's do it. What the hell? I don't.
All right. I'm gonna let you do it, Derek, because I'm you know how I do with this. All right, Dr. I appreciate you, and we'll be on the clock.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
See you, buddy.
You're the man, Derek.
Take it easy, Andy.
So that was crazy. I know you want to.
Fun.
I mean, I know I went a little long right there, but I find I'm not new. I'm interested, like how many people that actually do football cards actually play Dynasty, right? Because it is legit, long-term playing your football cards, right? And I feel like for me, like, the quarterbacks I've bought this offseason, I bought some Baker. I haven't made any money on it. I bought some Jameis Winston, just one Jameis Winston. Still waiting. I'm still waiting for him to ball out. Love that week 1 matchup. If they crush the Falcons, there's going to be so much Saints hype. Especially, how much Saints fans hate Falcons fans. There's going to be just so much surrounding it. I also think I'm going to be able to sell my Jameis card before the season begins for this reason. Okay. One thing, we're talking about like Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz isn't going to win over a locker room. Like, he does not relate with players the same way Jameis Winston relates with players. And I know that seems counterintuitive because Jameis Winston has eat the W thing, and he's got all these crazy things about him. But there was something very interesting. Did you see this clip? It was a clip of him working out with the team in Miami, and they were like, the players were partying, and Jameis was just sitting off to the side, just being normal and just kind of being the leader, the adult in the room per se. And that's something that we don't, associate with Jameis Winston at all. I just think he is going to be the darling of the quarterbacks of the NFL, right? I think America loves a good comeback story. I think America also likes the Saints just because the Saints are just always the underdog story. It's seared in our brains what happened to the Saints in 2018, that they were robbed, the Roger Goodell suspension of Sean Payton, the Saints are always just viewed as an underdog story, led by a quarterback who is an underdog with a team full of Louisiana guys now, with some Louisiana guys. I think I'm going to be able to sell this Jameis card beforehand, because what I'm going to think is there's going to be a lot more of these clips of Jameis Winston giving like pep talks, throwing a pass to Jarvis Landry, doing this and that and whatnot. I love it. I freaking love me some Jameis, man. I really do. What say you, young man?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, every time I get a little tweet or a notification that Jameis is practicing without the knee brace, it's like I feel a little buzz, a little bubbling cooking up in the hype pot. And I think it's gonna get wild, especially as you talk about divisional matchups are huge. A lot of people are maybe undervaluing the Saints as a whole because they were like starting to go into this whole rebuild mode after the tumultuous last year and Sean Payton retiring and after Drew Brees retires. And so you got all these changes. But your owner, man, I can't remember his name, but he's Mickey, right? Mickey something.
Oh, so Mickey Loomis is the general manager.
The general manager, but he's in charge of like personnel.
Everything,
yeah. So I think that, he had an option to go into rebuild mode or try and plug holes in the ship. And I think you guys did that. Jarvis Landry, Tyrann Mathieu, some of the other improvements that you guys have made to the defense and the restructuring the offensive line and Jameis Winston, still being on the roster. And so I think that you guys could be undervalued. And you look at what Jameis did last year, week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. There's always that possibility that you guys just look like this number 1 team in the NFL coming out, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But I think that's going to lead to a lot of hype.